Hi, I'm Towin, and today I'll be trying to beat Pokemon Crystal using only Pok moves. I've already done this challenge on Red and it was insanely brutal, so obviously I had to try the same challenge on the next generation. Like I mentioned at the previous challenge video, a new generation includes new Pokemon and new moves, but that doesn't mean that it's going to get any easier. I honestly think that I'll have to get my team to level 70 to beat Lance. The rules for the challenge are simple. I can only use Pok type moves, so if I run out of power points for my Pok moves, I lose the fight. No items during battle, however, held items are okay. And finally, game mode on set. With that out of the way, let's start the run. I start by using the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Chikorita with Zubat. That way, I'll start with a Pok move immediately and my rival will have Cyndaquil, probably the hardest to fight. I do the usual stuff at the start of the game and get challenged by Silver. The battle goes as well as you'll expect, so if that doesn't tell you how the challenge is gonna go, then I don't know what will. I get the Pokeballs and go catch a few new team members. I get Weedle, who gets Treeniddle as a Beedrill at level 20 and Pin Missile at level 35, and Spinarak, who gets Leech Life at level 23. Now, as you can see, my only way of beating Pokemon right now is Leech Life on Zubat. The first gym is a flying type, so I'll have to train for a while. Luckily, there's the Ruins of Alpha available, which has Unown that are weak to Pok moves and give pretty good experience for this point in the game. So let's train for a bit. Is what I would say, but I can't even get to Violet City since there's a mandatory trainer that has a level 2 PG. I can deal only 1 HP of damage with Leech Life, so he defeated me easily. Give me a minute. I come back at level 8 after defeating a couple of wild Pokemons and managed to defeat the trainer, but I almost ran out of power points by the end. This is a bad omen. Now that I've reached Violet City, I can get to the Ruins of Alph. Like I was explaining earlier, this is the best place to train. Seeing how difficult of a time I had against a level 2 PG, I'll probably have to get Treeniddle on Beedrill like on the Pokemon Red run. I'll try to get Crobat first before I start switch training to at least make the challenge look different. Eventually, I get bored of training and decide to give the Flying Gym a try at level 20. Thanks to PG not being able to use Mudslap against me, I was able to safely spam Leech Life. He didn't do that much damage to me, so with only 5 attacks, he went down. Next is Pidgeotto. Leech Life obviously did less to him, so I was worried that I was going to run out of power points. It took me 2 minutes, but with only 2 power points left, I managed to defeat Faulkner's Pidgeotto. It's insane to think that I managed to beat him with only a Zubat using Leech Life. I make my way onto the Pok Gym, and in the way, I switch to Weedle against all the trainers I have access to. Poxy's ace is a Scyther that resists my Pok moves, but that's not the real threat. Right after beating him is the rival, and he has a Quilava that resists my Pok moves. Not only that, but he also has both a Gastly and a Zubat that double resist my attacks, so it's safe to assume that I'm going to need more team members. Speaking of, if I beat this fisherman and get his phone number, he'll sometimes call telling me about a swarm in the area. With the old rod, I can go and fish for a new team member. Quillfish. He has pretty good stats and at level 28 he learns Spin Missile. I'm not going to raise my expectations of him though, since I don't want to get disappointed like with Jolteon, but it's definitely an upgrade for the team. By the time I reach Poxy, Zubat has evolved into Crobat and Weedle has evolved into Beedrill. He still needs a few levels to learn Treeniddle, so I'll just grind some more before challenging the gym. Poxy Fight. Now, the battle went way better than what I expected. I started with Beedrill against Metapod and it went down after only 2 hits of Treeniddle. As for Kakuna, he double resists my Pok type moves, so he took a bit longer to take out. But he couldn't do much and went down like Metapod. Last is the Ace Scyther, who also double resists my moves. Treeniddle didn't do much and he kept using Fury Cutter. The battle went for so long that he managed to get 5 consecutive hits and KO Beedrill, but he was weakened enough so that Crobat could come out and defeat him with 2 Leech Lives. Winning against him grants me the TM for Fury Cutter. It's a weak move that builds up power from 10 all the way to 160 base power each time it lands successfully on an opponent. It's also the only Pok type move that's a TM on this game, so I need to choose carefully who I teach it to. For now, I'll keep it as an item. Like Poxy, the rival fight was also way easier than I expected. Gastly's only move is Leak and he only landed it once, so he went down easily. Quilava was sent after and did massive damage with Ember, leaving Beedrill on the red. but I ended up winning with a couple of 2 needles. As for Zubat, Beedrill's health was too low, so after getting a few hits, I had to send Crobat, who defeated him with 3 Leech Lives. After the battle, I get access to Islet's Forest where I can catch both Paras and Venonat. Like in the Pokemon Red Run, they get the move Leech Life when they get to level 20 something. I don't know if I'm going to use them that much to be honest, but I'm just catching them to get a full team. The catches don't stop there though. If I teach Headbutt to Qwilfish and go back to Azalea Town, I can get Heracross. This is probably the best encounter I'll get in this game, especially since it gets the 120 base power Mega Horn. Sounds cool, right? Well, for some reason, he doesn't get it until level 54, so he's useless until probably the Elite Four. However, after much thinking, I decided to teach him the TM for Fury Cutter. I could have taught it to something like Scyther or Pinsir, but honestly, I just want to use Heracross since I think this is my first time using one. As a funny detail, this also makes my Heracross the only Pokemon on this run with any of the new damaging Bug-type moves, since Mega Horn was his signature move and Fury Cutter can only be learned via TM. Normal Gym Fight. Whitney starts with Clefairy and I send Heracross. I start building up power on Fury Cutter while she hits a weak Double Slap. I get her close to half as she misses the next move. She gets to the wreck with my third Fury Cutter and she goes for Metronome, but only gets Rabbit Spin, so with one more attack she goes down. Last is Miltank and Fury Cutter would have done a lot of damage, but it unfortunately misses as she starts a rollout. Next turn she also misses and Fury Cutter is doing nothing, so with one stomp he goes down. I send Beedrill and the first rollout is doing way too much. I try going for Twin Needle hoping for the poison and I get it. However, Beedrill's attack are too weak and he eventually goes down. I send Crobat as my last option, but Leech Life obviously isn't enough and he gets O-Code by rollout. Let's get Heracross close to the others in levels and give it another try, since I feel like that could give me a better chance. I come back at level 20 and it goes way smoother. Clefairy was a 3-shot and Miltank got to the red with my 4th Fury Cutter. She started a rollout and did decent damage, but my 5th attack hit, knocking out Miltank. Heracross is a monster. I get to Ecruteak City and talk to Bill on the Pokemon Center. If I go back to Goldenrod, I can speak to him again and he'll give me an Eevee. Like last time, he'll evolve into Jolteon and get Pin Missile. But this time, instead of getting it at level 48, he gets it at 36. I can evolve him right now by getting a Thunderstone, but I'm in no hurry of doing so. By the way, this is also my last encounter of the game. The only new Pokemons are Spinarak, Qwilfish, Heracross, and technically Crobat. Next, I go to the Burn Tower to challenge my rival. He starts with Hunter and I send Heracross. Fury Cutter does nothing as he got his HP in half with Curse. Because I don't want to sacrifice Heracross, I switch him for Beedrill, getting hit by Leak in the process. We go for many turns hitting each other with weak moves until Hunter faints. However, Beedrill's HP is low and he got paralyzed. Quilava is second and I only managed to hit a single Twin Needle before getting KO'd by Ember, so I sent Crobat to deal with him. Like the last fight, it went on for ages, but the difference is that this time my Pokemon fainted. It doesn't matter, as with Heracross I easily finish off the weakened Quilava. Zubat is sent and I get really lucky in this battle, as he went for Bite most of the fight, doing no damage while I built up power. By the time he fainted and Magnemite was out, my Fury Cutter was at max power, so a single hit defeated him. The next battle is Morty, but to make the long story short, I'm not ready. All 4 of his Pokemon double resist my bug moves, have either a strong or an annoying move to deal damage, and are close to my levels. So I'll just fight the new trainers that are available and give it another shot. It wasn't even close though. On my best attempt, I managed to defeat both Gastly and Hunter without anyone fainting, only for Gengar to come out, spam Hypnosis and then Dream Eater to do massive damage to all of my Pokemon. This is going to take a while, isn't it? I come back when everyone but Eevee is at level 30. On the way, Spinarak evolved into Ariados and got Leech Life, Qwilfish got Pin Missile and I got a Thunderstone to evolve Eevee into Jolteon. First is Gastly against Qwilfish. I get a 2-hit Pin Missile and he uses Curse, so I switch to Ariados to deal with him but get paralyzed with Leak. It didn't matter since it only took 2 hits to defeat him. Second is Hunter. I switch back to Qwilfish and he uses Curse again, so like last time I have to go back. I go into Heracross this time to start building up power on Fury Cutter. I managed to hit it twice but he puts me to sleep, and by the time I woke up I'm close to half. I managed to defeat him with 3 more Fury Cutters, but Heracross is very weakened. Gengar is out, and I hit Fury Cutter for a third as he just uses Minlook. Fury Cutter lands again, getting him on a sliver as he misses Hypnosis. It lands again, and he finishes him off. Last is Hunter, but Heracross easily defeats him. I got insanely lucky on that fight. With Morty finally defeated, I can make my way to the other gyms. For that, I teach Qwilfish Surf and... Yup, I had to do the whole Morty fight again. I won't bore you with the details since you don't need to hear the battle again, but just know that it took many tries. The chalk fight after was wild. I first defeated Primeape with Beedrill using Twinneedle, however I ended up with only 2 HP left. I then threw my entire team at Poliwrath since he resisted my moves and all of them were basically doing cheap damage. My last Pokemon Heracross managed to get him to a sliver with 3 Fury Cutters, but then he made me sleep with Hypnosis, so I lost. Second try, the battle goes way different. I still defeat Primeape with Beedrill, but this time I'm above half health. Poliwrath is out, and not only do I poison him on my second hit, but he misses Hypnosis 3 times. He never landed a hit and went down faster thanks to the poison damage. What was not amazing was my attempt at the Steel Gym. I was already expecting that it was going to go bad, but dear god did it go awful. I had to throw 4 out of my 5 team members to defeat the first Magnemite. Heracross defeated her with Fury Cutter, but then Steelix came out and landed 2 Iron Tails to defeat me easily while I barely did any damage. I hate this challenge. I go and fight all the trainers left. There's not many, but now I have access to the ones on the Rocket Hideout and the Ice Gym. Speaking of Ice Gym, prize fights. Seal went down easily thanks to a lucky roll on Pin Missile with Qwilfish, and Dugong was a bit annoying because of a drop on attack, but it was no issue. As for Paloswan, it defeated Qwilfish with half HP, so I sent Eridos who had to fight him for ages since he had a Hyper Potion. But like with Dugong, he was no issue. I don't even bother to try the Steel Gym again, since I'm still quite under-leveled, so I get everyone to level 35 before trying again. I also start switch training Jolteon since I think I'll be needing him for Jasmine. Beedrill also got Pin Missile on the grind by the way. When I tried fighting the Steel Gym, it went a bit better, but not so much because of the levels, but more so because of 2 things that I realized. 1. Qwilfish resists all of Steelix's moves. He doesn't deal that much damage in return, but any cheap damage is appreciated. And second is poison. Now you might be wondering, but Steel types are immune to poison, right? And you'd be right, they are. However, because of a coding error in the game, there's actually a way to poison Steel types in this game, and that's with Twinneedle. This would be fixed in the later gens, but if I can get both the poison and Qwilfish to survive long enough, then I think I have a pretty good chance. Eventually, I got a run where that happened. I first had to sacrifice both Eridos and Crobat to get enough chip damage on the first Magnemite, so that Beedrill could come out and defeat her with 1 Twinneedle. When Steelix came out, I got lucky enough by getting her poisoned on the first turn. She still landed 2 consecutive Iron Tails to KO Beedrill though, so I had to send Qwilfish early, and this fight went on for 3.5 minutes. It was bad enough that Pin Missile wasted my time by doing literally pixels of damage to her, but I got horrified when I got her to the red and she used a Hyper Potion. I still managed to stall some turns and get her close to the red, but eventually Qwilfish went down. Last was my Heracross and she luckily only hit a single Iron Tail before going down. Her final Pokemon is Magnemite and Fury Cutter is at +2. I hit the first one to get her close to half and Thunderbolt gets me to 37 HP. If I miss, it's over. I go for Fury Cutter and it connects, getting me at last the victory against Jasmine. Look at the state of my team after the fight. I'm going to need to do some serious training if I want to defeat Lance. But let's not get ahead of ourselves since I still need to do the Radio Tower takeover. I take the chance like last time to switch train Jolteon. The battles aren't hard, just annoying, since some of the Pokemon resist or even double resist bug moves. So it was a slow process to get the basement key. Now here's an unexpected roadblock. There's a rival fight and he has a freaking Golbat. He obliterates my team. I sent everyone against him and only managed to get him to half. To be fair, I had some bad luck with Confusion, but between him being decently bulky, double resisted my moves, Confusion and Wing Attack, the battle was over before it even began.
This grind is getting really annoying. I haven't had access to any better training area since Morty, and that was days ago. I really underestimated this challenge going into it. I just forgot that the rival had the perfect team to counter bug type moves. At least when I beat this challenge, the bug only moves runs should get easier. I've taken a pick to Emerald and it looks more manageable. Not looking forward to the Steven Stone fight though. I get everyone to level 40, including Jolteon, so it now has Spin Missile, and try again. Because Golbat has Wing Attack, I had to throw my non-bug types to fight him. On the process, both Crobat and Qwilfish ended up fainting, but Jolteon was the one that managed to defeat him. Next is Magnemite, but using a combination of Paralysis and Sonic Boom, he KO'd Jolteon. It didn't matter that much since I still managed to get him to half, enough to get a one-shot with Beedrill's Spin Missile. Quilava is after and he started using Smokescreen, ruining my accuracy. I still defeated him, but the same couldn't be said about Haunter, who between Curse and Shadow Ball defeated Beedrill. It only had a sliver of HP left, so I decided to send Ariados, who with a single Leech Life knocked him out. Last is Sneasel, but for once I found a Pokemon that's weak to bug moves. Thanks to that, it only took 2 attacks to defeat him. By the way, this battle took me 12 minutes. Having to rely on Pin Missile for damage really makes these battles longer, especially when there's a Pokemon that double resists it. Since of those 12 minutes, 7 were only Golbat. I'm really not looking forward to the last rival fight. Oh, did I say it was over? Because before the final rocket fight, there's a grunt that has a level 36 Golbat and completely shuts me down. I had to go through that fight multiple times, using berries as held items and switching when getting hit by a Confuse Ray because this battle was just that hard. I had to actually try when battling against a random rocket grunt that had a single Pokemon. Worst part was that each attempt lasted 10 minutes. In the end, I won without having to grind, but mostly because of good grid luck. This challenge is just so much worse than the one on the previous gen. Eventually, I get to Blackthorn City, the location of the Dragon Gym and the move deleter. I take the chance and get rid of all the non-bug type moves on my Pokemon. It's not like it's necessary since I've never actually used them, but it just looks better. Now the Dragon Gym was surprisingly easy. I mean, as easy as it can get compared to the Golbat fights I've been getting. The first Dragonair was taken out by Beedrill. However, he was paralyzed in the process, so when the second Dragonair came out, he went down. I sent Ariados and he was able to finish her off with a couple of hits. But when the third Dragonair was sent, she easily took down Ariados thanks to a freeze. I sent Qwilfish, however Pin Missile didn't do that much damage and he got paralyzed, so he also ended up fainting. That means that I had to send Jolteon to finish the job. Last in Claire's team is Kingdra. She was doing massive damage and took Jolteon down with ease, but I still managed to get some hits. I sent what is basically my ace Heracross and thankfully 3 Fury Cutters landed, getting me the win. Now that I've collected my final batch is the way to Victory Road. I'll be honest, I don't think I can beat my rival. This is his final team. Both his Magnemite and Quilava are evolved and his Golbat is level 36. I'll get everyone to level 45 and give it a try, but I'm not expecting much. First is Sneasel and for that I sent Crobat. Leech Life did decent damage and thanks to the recovery I managed to finish him at full health. Magneton is next and I immediately switched to Ariados to save Crobat for later. When he came out however, he got hit by Thunder Wave, paralyzing him. I managed to get a few hits and drop his HP by a third but still went down. I sent Jolteon and he got really unlucky in this fight. Between missing and paralysis, he only managed to hit 2 Pin Missiles. So like with Ariados, he only did a third of damage and fainted. Beedrill comes out and I hoped Needle to be a one-shot. It wasn't, but I got the poison which was enough to defeat him. However, he got paralyzed like the others. Next is a dreaded Golbat and it went just as I feared. I attacked with everything I had left and just barely managed to get him to half. To be fair, I got unlucky with hitting myself in confusion, but I don't think it would have mattered since he still has 2 Pokemon that resist my moves on the back. So, here's what I'm going to do. I'm gonna do a final grind to get everyone to level 50. If that doesn't work, I'll just use rare candies. Having to grind Pokemon with only bug type moves is really slow, and I'm actually starting to feel pain on my fingers from pressing the buttons too many times. I also feel like it's fair to use them now considering that I'm at the end game. Well, the end game in Johto, since I still have to do Kanto and there's no way that I'm grinding there with how low level most of the wild Pokemon are. Level 50.
This time, I start the battle with Heracross to start building up power on Fury Cutter. After 2 attacks, Sneasel went down. Golbat comes out and my third Fury Cutter does a bit of damage as he confuses me. The fourth one lands, getting him to half HP, and Wing Attack does a ton of damage. I probably would have beaten him if I got a 5th hit, but Heracross hit himself in confusion and Golbat finished him off with another Wing Attack. I then start switching back and forth between Crobat and Qwilfish, doing as much damage as I can, and then switching when getting hit by Confuse Ray. This works greatly, as I managed to beat him by sacrificing most of their HP. He sends Magneton and I debate whether to switch Qwilfish or not, but prefer to get a safe switch so he goes down. I send Jolteon since he resists his moves, and while Pin Missile doesn't do much and I also got paralyzed, I barely managed to defeat him. Hunter is next and knocks out Jolteon immediately, so out is Ariados. I don't do that much and I get confused and hit with Curse, so I switch to Crobat to get rid of them. Like with Golbat, I do as much damage as I can before getting hit by Confuse Ray and then switching again to Ariados. And after a couple of Leech Lives, he gets knocked out. Second to last is the Ice Typhlosion. I go back to Crobat but get hit by a Flame Wheel that burns me, so he fainted without doing much. Back to Ariados and I only hit 1 Leech Life, since of course I got creeped with Flame Wheel for an OHKO. Last on my team is Beedrill, and for some reason he wastes the first 2 turns on Smokescreen, letting me get a head start on damage. I get him to the red and poison as he finally attacks, getting me close to half. Things were looking well until I missed a Twin Needle that would have defeated him, and he gets me to a quarter with Flame Wheel as he faints. Last is Kadabra and I miss another Twin Needle, but I get lucky with him using Future Sight and my next Twin Needle landing, getting me a really close victory. Let's take a look at my team before challenging the league. First is Heracross with Fury Cutter, Crobat with Leech Life, Jolteon with Pin Missile, Ariados with Leech Life, String Shot, and Spider Web. Oh yeah, Spider Web is a move introduced in Gen 2 that prevents opponents from switching out. It's so useless that I forgot to talk about it. And Beedrill with Twin Needle, Pin Missile, and String Shot. Usually, I would say let's see if I can beat the league, but honestly, I think I'll have to be between level 60 or 70 to win. I'm just curious as to how bad I'll do at this level. First is Psychic Trainer Will. Now, you might think that this one is going to be easy, and while it's certainly easier than the rival fight, it's still not a sweep. First is Xatu, who goes down after 2 Twin Needles from Beedrill, but not before landing a Psychic for most of my HP. The second Xatu comes out and I only get him to half before fainting. I send Ariados, and while I do decent damage with Leech Life, it gets him to use a Max Potion, so he has more HP by the time Ariados gets knocked out. Jolteon is out and Pin Missile does a good job at dealing damage, so even though I get confused and hit a couple of times by Xatu, I manage to defeat him. Jinx is third and 2 hits knock her out, but Jolteon is on the red. For Executor, I get a lucky roll and a crit on Pin Missile, which was enough to get an OHKO. So last is Slowbro and he defeats Jolteon. I sent Qwilfish to defeat the weakened Slowbro, and even though it took me 2 Pin Missiles, he made it easier for myself as he never used an attacking move. Second is Poison Trainer Koga, and this one took many tries, mostly because of Double Team, but the best attempt went as follows. I start with Heracross and I use the same strategy that I've used with him throughout this challenge, building up power for Fury Cutter. First is Ariados and I managed to hit 3 before he baton passed a Double Team to Venomoth. I managed to KO him with a crit, which is helpful since he would have survived and hit me with a powerful Psychic. Crobat is next and he's the reason that I built up power. Max Power Fury Cutter does less than half and he sets up a Double Team. I'm expecting next turn for him to hit a Wing Attack and then heal, but I get another crit to knock him out. Ariados comes out again, but it's a one-shot with Fury Cutter, so after that is Fortress. He annoyingly uses Protect, stopping my Fury Cutter, so I switch to Jolteon to save on power points. We go back and forth for a while between Pin Missile and Swift, and while I don't deal that much damage, I manage to get him close to half before fainting. I sent Ariados to do more chip damage, and while fighting I was wondering what his fourth move was, since I've seen Protect, Swift, and Spikes, only to realize when I got him to the red that his final move was Explosion. So he took out Ariados with himself. Last is Mach and I sent Qwilfish. He used Minimize to raise his evasion, but I still got many hits on him before fainting, getting Mach to a third of HP. Finally, I sent Beedrill and he dealt a finishing blow to beat Koga. Third is fighting trainer Bruno. It's Beedrill against Hitmontop and we trade blows for a while, but my Twin Needle was stronger than his Dig, so he fainted. Next is Hitmonchan, and even though I could have KO'd him, I intentionally faint. This is so that I can get Heracross on the field to start building up power on Fury Cutter, and I get 2 before Hitmonchan faints. Hitmonlee is third and he missed a high jump kick, so I got another 2 hits without taking that much damage. Machamp is fourth, and Matt's Power Fury Cutter gets him to the red while he hits a cross chop. It doesn't do much, and while he heals, I get a crit for an easy KO. Last is Onix, but he's no match to Heracross's attacks. To be honest, I thought that this was the point where I would need to grind, but I won on the first try. The final member of the Elite Four is Karen, the Dark-type trainer. I start with Beedrill against Umbreon, and Pin Missile is doing pretty good damage. I get her to the red, but she used 2 sand attacks, so I decide to switch to Crobat to get rid of the accuracy drops and finish her off. She sends Gengar and I try to do as much damage as possible, but she has Bite to reduce my power points, so Crobat quickly runs out of leech lives. I switch to Qwilfish and after only using 1 Pin Missile, she goes for Curse, reducing her HP. I go back to Beedrill and she tries to trick me into Destiny Bond, so I go back and forth between String Shot and Pin Missile to prevent him from fainting. But in the process, Beedrill got paralyzed, so when Houndoom was sent, he got OHKO'd by a flamethrower. I sent Qwilfish again, but due to getting some unlucky rolls on Pin Missile, I only managed to get him to the red before fainting. I sent Ariados, and because Houndoom was on the red, Karen uses a Max Potion to heal her, so I got a single hit before also falling. This is looking bad. I sent Jolteon and get better luck on Pin Missile, but like with Qwilfish, I only managed to get her to the red before also fainting, mostly because of a burn on Jolteon. My last Pokemon is Heracross, who can thankfully beat Houndoom once and for all. Vileplume is her 4th Pokemon and she tries to paralyze me on the first turn, but missed while getting hit by my second Fury Cutter. The third one gets her close to the red and she gets the paralysis, so now I'm slower and have a higher chance of missing. She uses Moonlight to recover some HP but ends up fainting, so last is Murkrow, who hits a weak feint attack before getting knocked out by another Fury Cutter. That was closer than I thought it would be. Finally is the champion, Lance. Gyarados starts setting up the rain while I start setting up Fury Cutters with Heracross. For some reason, he went for Full Health twice even though he was on green HP. And when he had the chance of getting a high power Full Health, he went for Surf instead. This last one critted, getting me on low HP. But he didn't heal, so Gyarados fainted. Aerodactyl is out and Matt's Power Fury Cutter got him to the red, but a 4-time super effective wing attack obviously defeated Heracross. I sent Beedrill and a Twin Needle easily gets a KO, but next is Charizard and this is the point where I need to grind. He double resists my moves and has a very powerful moveset. I throw my entire team at him and barely do a quarter of damage. I might be able to defeat him if I get a one-shot on Aerodactyl with Heracross, but even then there's the problem of the 3 Dragonites. I know I said I was going to use rare candies, but I'm just going to level up both Beedrill and Heracross through training since they're my best team members. During the grind, Heracross finally learns Mega Horn. It's a 120 base power pop move. It's weaker than a max power Fury Cutter, but it doesn't need to build up power, so it might be useful. I come back, this time with Beedrill and Heracross at level 60. The battle starts similarly, with the difference that Gyarados only managed to hit a Hyper Beam for decent damage, and that Aerodactyl was a one-shot. When Charizard came out, I hit a max power Fury Cutter doing half as he hits a wing attack to bring me to a third, so with another attack, he goes down. Next is the 8th Dragonite and I get lucky with a crit to get an OHKO. Don't know if it mattered or not. Next is the 2nd Dragonite and Fury Cutter isn't a one-shot, so the crit mattered. He hits me with Thunder Wave to paralyze me and next turn with Hyper Beam. Heracross manages to live with a Sliver however and KO the Dragonite, but the final one easily finishes me off. I send Beedrill and Twin Needle isn't doing much as he misses Thunder Wave. I thought I lost the fight but I managed to get him poisoned, so now I just need to stall and prevent him from using potions. This proves a bit tricky when he paralyzes me, but he goes for Hyper Beam the next turn. So between not getting paralyzed and the poison damage, I hit the finishing blow to beat the Flying Master, Lance. That went way better than I expected. Didn't really think that I would beat the champion below level 70, but Fury Cutter is just that strong. Now, the run isn't over yet. There's still all of Kanto and the secret red fight. Looking at the length of the script, I can already tell that this is going to be my longest video. So I'll just give you a quick summary of the gym fights before challenging Blue. Surge was easy, Sabrina was extremely easy, Erika was extremely easy, Misty was extremely easy, Janine was surprisingly easy, Brock was surprisingly easy, and Blaine was also surprisingly easy. The only thing of note between the fights was that I got both leftovers for Heracross and Beedrill, and that I avoided the fight against Silver on Mount Moon for obvious reasons. Blue fight. Now, I had to try this a couple of times because of accuracy, but in the end, I got this run. First is Pidgeot and Mega Horn gets him to the red. He goes for Mirror Move to copy my Mega Horn and misses, which was pretty funny. So he goes down to another one. Arcanine is second and we both get each other to half with Mega Horn and Flamethrower. But since I'm faster, I knock him out. Third is Alakazam who is a one-shot, so fourth is Gyarados. I take the chance to start building up Fury Cutters, and on the way, he hits 2 Hyper Beams and sets up the rain before fainting. The only reason I survived those hits was because of the leftovers, so I'm glad I got it before the fight. Last were Exeggutor and Rhydon, and they both fell to a Max Power Fury Cutter. Clean fight. Last fight of the challenge is Red. I'm not entirely sure if I can win without a bit of leveling up, but who knows? I got pretty fat on the Elite 4 at level 50, so I might as well try with both Heracross and Beedrill at their current level. If I don't win, I still have the rare candies I was going to use for Lance in case things went south. Okay, so first try I OHKO Pikachu with Mega Horn and builds up power on Fury Cutter to max power, while Venusaur only manages to hit a single Solar Beam and sets up the sun. Next is Charizard, and a crit Fury Cutter doesn't even do half, while a Flamethrower one-shots Heracross. That was probably because of the sun, but if it isn't a one-shot with a crit, then it's at least a 3-shot that I can't overpower. Oh, and he also outspeeds Beedrill, so he couldn't even land a hit. Level 75. This time I went with the strategy of building Fury Cutters on Pikachu. I got lucky with a crit, leaving him on the red, which meant that he used a full restore on him. This let me get Fury Cutter to max power when going into Venusaur, so he never got a chance to set up the sun. When Charizard came out, Fury Cutter was doing like a third. He went for Wing Attack to bring me all the way to 250 HP to 50 HP. I landed a second attack, but he finished me off. I sent Beedrill and he's still slower, but this time he barely survives a Flamethrower. Triniddle didn't do much, but I got the poison, so I switched to Quillfish to stall. I survive a hit and get him to the red, but fall to a second one. I sent Ariados, but he couldn't do anything, and if he KOs one of my Pokemon, the poison damage isn't triggered. Jolteon is the only Pokemon that has a chance, so I sent him and he's surprisingly faster than Charizard. Pin Missile did nothing, but I survived a Flamethrower with only 12 HP, enough so that the poison defeated him. Shame that next is Espeon and easily finishes off the rest of my team. Kinda was hoping for Beedrill to outspeed there. Level 80. It goes the same all the way to Charizard, but this time I'm at full HP due to some misses. I crit on my Fury Cutter, bringing Charizard to a third, and Wing Attack still does massive damage. I land another one and it's enough to defeat him. I definitely needed those levels, by the way. Then Espeon was a one-shot, Snorlax was a one-shot, and Blastoise was a one-shot. This was by far the most brutal challenge run I've had. More difficult than Y2 with only one Weedle, and definitely more difficult than Pokemon Red with only Bug moves. I'm happy with the end result though. I realized just how good Heracross was and how underrated Fury Cutter is. But I don't think this was the best challenge to play Gen 2 for the first time. Because, yes, it's actually my first time playing Gen 2. Like I mentioned earlier, I took a peek at Gen 3 and it looks more manageable. So eventually, I'll try to do it. If that interests you, then maybe consider subscribing. But for now, I think I'll just go back to Gen 5. As for next time, I'll try to beat Pokemon Y2 Challenge Mode with only Ducklet. I'll be honest, I don't think I'll be able to finish the game with this one. It's supposed to be a bulky mix attacker, but having a 4x weakness to Electric, a type that is a major threat in the endgame, doesn't get my hopes up. But who knows, Doduo managed to beat the game, so I might get surprised. If you want to see more of my content, you can check my Shining Professor Oak Challenge playlist, that's on screen. Or, if you want to see something more like what you just watched, you can check the Challenge Runs playlist, that's also on screen. Anyways, that's all I have for now. See ya!